Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Your weekend is not complete without the First Lady of New York Radio. It's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Every year at this time, those of us who are Jewish celebrate the New Year holidays, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and it's a time of family and rejoicing in family and community. And we all participate. Over the years, there have been many changes in not only my family, I'm sure your family, all family structures. There have been intermarriages, but we have ended up over the years celebrating everyone's holidays. And the big thing is, as you all know, is about family and friends and being together. I always do what they call break the fast, signifying the end of Yom Kippur. And the families gather together at the end of this holiday, and someone usually volunteers, and it's called Break the Fast. And we all meet. Some of us go to services, some of us don't. But at the end of the day, we meet. It's in my apartment generally, and we spread out. When I was a little girl, my mom used to say it's called Break the Fast because it's breakfast after fasting all day. And she would do all smoked fish and salads, and sometimes for those who didn't like that, she would make chicken cutlets or turkey burgers or something that would satisfy the appetites of those who didn't like smoked salmon or whitefish salad or cucumber salads. Whatever it is, we look forward to being together. And many years ago, I met a Chinese family at Zabar's, and some of them ran, we called it the appetizer bar. That's where you went at Zabar's, the famous appetizing store on Broadway in the 80s, and you would get your smoked fish or your gefilte fish or your cheeses or pickled herring. Not my favorite, but a lot of people love it. So we would place a big order at Sable's, smoked salmon and the whitefish salad and everything else. And people would bring different things. My daughter Lizzie, last year, out of the blue, someone took a noodle pudding that she made, and I had never asked her to do that before, and we had never tasted anything like that she had made. But she actually won the best noodle pudding on the west side of Manhattan. So she volunteered. She didn't win this year, by the way, but she volunteered to provide a wonderful noodle pudding. Cousin Nancy makes what I always called her famous cheese pie, but they're just delicious. Maybe one day I'll get her to give the recipe and we'll put it online. But we have that too. And because Cousin Douglas is the fussiest eater of all, I end up making chicken cutlets for him or something like that. He doesn't eat meat or fish or anything, but he will eat pounded paper-thin chicken cutlets. And this was a very complicated week in New York City. As you know, the UN had a special session. Our president was in town. The traffic was truly unbearable. You couldn't move. But things are winding down, and I feel a sort of sense of quiet the city is getting back to its old self. There are tourists coming in again. The museums are proudly putting forth their new shows. You've got to, if you can, check out the Met and the Modern and the Guggenheim. They're wonderful, the things that make New York so special. And of course, we always look forward to having everyone gather at our table, and people contribute to pies and cakes and salads. We set the table in memory of those who are no longer here, with mothers and aunts and grandmothers' old tablecloths that are truly beautiful, and wonderful napkins, all the good things, candlesticks that go back generations. And I love when my little granddaughter looks at everything and says, "Oh, so pretty." It's interesting to me that her parents and that generation aren't that sentimental, but the children, like Stella, love everything and want to hear all the stories about everything. She'll say, "Tell me about Grandma. What did she like? How did she get this?" And I would regale her with stories of the tablecloth man. And I do remember this. We'd hear a bell on the street. I lived on a street called Margaret Avenue on Long Island. And the tablecloth man would come up and down the street, and he would be ringing the bell. And all the women would come out to their porch. There were big old brick houses on the street I grew up on. And they would sort of yell out, "Tablecloth man, tablecloth man." And they would invite him in. There'd be coffee and little cakes for him to eat. And he would lay out the treasures on my mother's dining room table. And the kids, I didn't even know we liked that stuff, but we were so excited to see it. And he would always tell us stories about, this is Mrs. Green's grandmother's cloth, and look at the work, and this is how she did it. And in the midst of all this, all the relatives and neighbors would share family recipes. And I had a neighbor who lived next door when I was a child called Libby Lang. And she was the best baker on Margaret Avenue. And her claim to fame was that she had entered the Pillsbury Bake-Off contest. And she actually came in. Her cake, which had frosting that she mixed into the cake, just spooned it through, was a prize winner. And we were as proud of Libby Lang and that cake as we were if she had won a Nobel. It was a deal to us that one of our own in the 5 towns of Long Island was recognized for her great baking skills. And this time of year again, as we all gather together and celebrate the things that we were taught as kids, family and love and children and relatives, and to try to be kind to those who might not be as lucky as us. That is all the important part. And if you've got, my mother always used to say, you have to give back. And that has to be a lesson for the children. They have to know how lucky they are, and they have to understand what a gift it is to be able to repay that in some way and give back to those who aren't as lucky. Anyway, I'm thinking of all of you on this new year. I wish only the best of happiness and love and good fortune. So, from my family to yours, Happy New Year. And I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC Radio.